a new diverse running magazine, New York City and Chicago updates, and running isn't canceled? Let's talk this week's racing entanglements, and I'm not talking Will and Jada. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Runwave podcast. I am your host, Kim. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the family. If you are a return listener, welcome back. I appreciate you. If you haven't already done so, please rate the show on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, and leave a review if you can as well. That really helps the show out, helps the show to get noticed and climb up those Apple charts. So first up this week, I have it on very good authority that a brand new diverse running magazine is coming out very shortly. I'm just going to throw up on the screen a little graphic of the magazine. This is a little exclusive sneak peek. And when I say I'm going to throw something up on the screen, I do have this show on YouTube as well. So if you're listening at home, be sure to head on over to YouTube and check out the visual episode of this show. So up on the screen, this new magazine is going to be a representation of our run culture, brands, stories, and most of all, our journeys. Our goal is to give you an in-depth insight into how we are represented in our run community and culture the right way. Also, in this graphic, it says fact. According to the Wall Street Journal, the run community is only made up of 8% of diverse runners. The rest is 92% white. So remember when I said runner's world so white? There you have it. I have had the opportunity to preview some articles of the magazine, and I have to say it is pretty dope. So what I'm going to do is leave a link to the email sign up in the show notes down below. It'll be on the Runwave website as well. You can just click on that link, enter in your name and email, and you will be notified as soon as the first issue drops. So I am very excited about this. This is a magazine that is for us, by us. When I say for us, by us, I mean for Black people, by Black people. So this is going to be something big that is coming out of 2020. On Monday, July 13th, it was officially announced that the Chicago Marathon has been canceled. Now, I don't know what the heck took them so long, but I am glad that they finally did, because now runners can make their plans accordingly. If you've had travel plans scheduled, you can go ahead and cancel those, modify them, etc., etc. So I'm going to read you what it says on Chicago Marathon's official website so you can get an idea of the options that they are giving to runners. It says, in light of this decision, registered runners for the 2020 event will have the option to receive a refund for their race entry. That's good. Or to defer their place and entry fee for a future edition of the Bank of America Marathon, in parentheses 2021, 2022, or 2023. The event will provide an update to runners in the coming days with additional information on the options available to them. This also applies if you are registered for the International Chicago 5K. Now, while I think that it is great that they are giving a race refund if you request it, because a lot of races are not even doing that. They're just keeping money and flipping the races over to virtuals. So kudos to Chicago for issuing refunds. Now, they are offering potential deferrals as well, but it is vague as to what year your deferral will be for, because it says entry into a future edition, but it doesn't say you get to choose which edition. Now, I went over to the frequently asked questions of their website. And if you look under entry deferment 21, 22, 23, this is good. It says, if I select to defer my 2020 entry, will I have to pay again when I sign up for the race in 2021, 22, or 23? No, you do not have to pay again to sign up for the race. So that's good. Here's the kicker. If I select to defer my 2020 entry, will I have to indicate the year I'd like to participate in the future? No, by selecting this option, you are indicating your preference only. You will have the opportunity to redeem your 2020 deferred entry during the 2021, 22, or 23 application windows. Now, I'm not sure exactly what that means. It kind of reads that you can pick what year you want to run, but when I read you the New York City options, it seems a little vague, these options that Chicago is given. So can I run in whichever year I choose, 21, 22, or 23? Or are you going to tell me what year I can run? I need that written out in these frequently asked questions or somewhere on your website. I want to know what my options are for this race. On July 15th, New York Roadrunners announced their cancellation options. Are Chicago and New York in cahoots or what? You guys announced the same week, 2 days apart, and the options almost sound the same. So let me read NYRR's options. NYRR is the organization that puts on the New York City Marathon here in New York City. So I'm registered to run the New York City Marathon in 2020. So I received this email directly from New York Roadrunners, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. So this email says, selecting your resolution option. Log into your dashboard, go into registered events, blah, blah, blah. Your options are, number 1, a refund. Number 2, complimentary entry for a future marathon with an asterisk. Number 3, donate the value of your entry fee to support New York Roadrunners free youth and community programs. Now, I paid $255 for the marathon because I'm a New York Roadrunners member. If you are a non-member, your fee was $295, I believe. Now, getting to the asterisks, this is the good part. If you select complimentary entry for a future marathon, option 2, you will participate in a future marathon selection process. They keep saying a future marathon selection process. In 2021, to choose the year for your complimentary entry, either 2021, 22, or 23. You may not be guaranteed your preferred year due to potential limitations to future field sizes. As we work through the planning process with government officials, we will make it a priority to share information as it is determined. Now, Chicago didn't put that asterisk in there, but their notice kind of reads exactly like this without the extra detail. So I'm wondering if Chicago is the same as well. We'll have to see. But on to New York City. I did the 9+1 to gain entry into the marathon. So if you live in New York City or if you're in the tri-state area or close by, you can run 9 races put on by New York Roadrunners and volunteer one time, and that will get you guaranteed non-complimentary entry into the New York City Marathon. So this is the reason why out-of-state people, this is why so many New York City runners run the New York City Marathon over and over again, because we can simply run 9 races and volunteer at one race, and we get entry into the New York City Marathon. It's the 9+1 program. So if you didn't know, I just gave you a little tidbit. That's why we have so many. So I have 4 New York City marathons under my belt. And for most of those, I did do the 9+1 to gain entry into the race. Now, I know that I'm a little pissed at these options. I know other people are pissed as well. I've been in New York Road Runners comments on their Facebook page, on their Instagram page, and yes, we understand that these times are unprecedented. This is a global pandemic that we are going through, but a whole lot of us ran the 9+1 program, and we paid for those races, for each of those 9 races, and then we paid for the marathon as well. So I don't know about other people. I have 4 New York City marathons. I don't really need another one, but I wanted to run the 50th edition of the race. So this was going to be my last New York City marathon. So if I defer and I don't get guaranteed entry into the 50th race, I'm going to be pissed off, because that's the only reason why I registered for the race in the first place, was because I wanted to run the 50th New York City marathon. I don't need another New York City marathon. I already have 4. So if I'm not guaranteed entry into the 50th, I don't want to run it. So I'm on the fence whether I am going to request the refund, which it would be really nice to get that $255 back, or if I am going to defer, because if I don't get 2021, if 2021 even happens, because we don't even know if 2021 is going to happen, quite honestly. So if I don't get 2021, I don't want to run it. I don't need another New York City. And I know a lot of people are feeling the same way. Also, for charity runners, New York, again, is leaving it up to the charity to give people places for the next entries race. And y'all already know how I feel about this. I've had issues with my charity for London Marathon getting deferrals. The races are leaving it up to the charities to give up their places for the following year for these runners. So if you're finished fundraising, the charity can say, sorry, you need to raise those funds again, because that entry was for last year. It doesn't count towards next year. And as a runner, I would be pissed, because I only signed up to run for your charity for a place in the race. I didn't sign up with your charity just to raise money, although it's for a good cause. We all know it's for a good cause, but my main goal for raising the money for this race was to run the race, not to raise the money and get nothing out of it in return. So something's got to give. Races need to come together with these charities, give them double the spots, reduce the number of spots that you're giving for lottery entries, for regular entry. Y'all got to do something, because this is not fair to people that have worked hard it's hard raising money for charity, y'all. I don't know if anyone's ever done it, but it is hard work. You got to keep posting, you got to badger your friends, you got to badger your family. That's the only way that you can raise money for these charities, unless you're independently wealthy and you can put the money up yourself. I know I can't do that. I had to badger and post and bother people to raise funds for a charity. So I feel for all of those charity runners. I'm feeling for the charity runners for Boston who are being asked to raise 150% of what they already raised. Listen, the charity game is crazy this year, and this has really got me thinking on what I'm going to do going forward. If I'm going to continue to raise money to get into these races when I have no guarantee that I'll even be able to run the races. I mean, what are we going to do? If you are a frequent listener of the Runway podcast, you will have heard me say on numerous occasions that racing is canceled for 2020. I've said that so many times, and I have stuck to that until very recently, because I saw that a past guest of the show, Philip King, actually went to Utah and ran a half marathon this past week. So, I got on my computer, I hit him up, and I said, Philip, how was the race? And he's like, do you want me to do a video review for it? I said, no, I want you to come on my show and tell everyone what it's like to race during COVID-19. So I had Philip on, and I'm going to let you hear what he had to say about racing during coronavirus. Check it out. Okay, everyone, welcome Philip King back to the Runway podcast. How are you, Philip?
Hot. I just got finished running 10 miles, so
10 miles in that Arkansas heat.
I don't know why I do it, but I should have just ran at night.
Now, you all may remember Philip because he was on episode 13 of the show. I will link it in the show notes. And we talked about his pyramid challenge. So go back and reference that episode to listen to it and hear all about it. But I'm having Philip on the show this time to discuss a recent race that he ran. So you ran let me get the name right, the Bryce Canyon Half Marathon, right?
Correct.
And what state was that in?
Utah.
Okay, and how did you hear about, and this is good because you're only the second person that I've seen that's actually ran a race since COVID. So how did you hear about the race?
Okay. The last time I was on your show, and I guess you asked me like what races I had coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I mentioned, because I had got an email to pace a race out of Utah, but it's for like in the fall. So after that episode, Shawana White hit me up and she was like, hey, what race are you running out in Utah? And I was like, Utah? I was like, I ain't running a race in Utah, but I got a 10-miler that I'm going to do in Missouri. And she was like, oh, what's the date? And I gave her the date, and she was like, oh, she won't be able to do it because she's doing a half marathon on the same weekend in Utah. And I was like, wait a minute, a half marathon? What's the name of the race? She gave me the name of the race. I looked it up, and I was like, dang. I didn't know what kind of shape I was in, so I was like, I'll go out and do a couple speed workouts, see where I'm at, and then I might go ahead and sign up.
So you heard about this race, and you didn't tell anybody else about it. You just went.
That's how I roll, man. Like, it ain't no planning. It's just, you gonna do it or you ain't gonna do it.
Listen, you know we out here chasing states. So if you get the lowdown on the race, you got to let the people, let me know. You ain't got to let everybody else know, but at least let me know about it. Shoot.
Okay.
So how was your travel experience getting to the race? A lot of people, want to know what it's like to travel during COVID.
Okay. For me, like the first thing I wanted to do was find a direct flight to where I was going, and it really wasn't no airport close to Bryce Canyon. So for me, it would have been to either fly to Salt Lake or fly to Vegas and then drive the rest of the way. Salt Lake, it would have been a shorter drive, but I can't find a direct flight out of Arkansas to Salt Lake City. So for me, it was flying directly to Vegas, and then once I got to Vegas, I was gonna rent a car and drive to Utah.
And how long was that drive from Vegas?
I thought it was like a 3-hour drive, but
wow,
it actually was a little bit more than that. So when I got to Vegas like Thursday night, and at that time I really didn't know if I was gonna drive that night or wait till in the morning. Mm-hmm. And when I got to Vegas airport, I looked up hotels and I found like a Flamingo had a special going for like $30. And I know where the Flamingo is at, and it's right close to Wahlburgers. Mm-hmm. So I was hungry. I wanted a Wahlburger. Mm-hmm. So I was like, man, I'm going to stay at this Flamingo, give me some sleep, go to Wahlburger, get up in the morning, hit the Nike outlet, and then go to Utah.
Now, I flew recently, and I'm going to release a whole video about my experience, but what airline did you take to get out there? I
flew on Allegiant Airways. It's a small airway, but they kind of big out in Vegas. They actually named the stadium, the football stadium. They got the naming rights to the football stadium out there in Vegas.
So how was it like a 3 and a 2, a 3 and a 3?
It was 3 and 3, but
was the middle seat open?
Nah, not all the way. Where I was sitting at, it was open. But some people, I guess they booked their flights together. They sat together or whatever. Mm-hmm. But on my road going, the middle seat was open. The flight probably was like, I'd say about 75% full. I mean, you had to have a mask on to get on the plane. They gave out like gloves or whatever. It was crazy because I went on the plane. It's 9:30 at night. I got on shades. Once we got in the air, I put my headphones on. I put my little nightcap blinders on. Like, I wasn't taking no chances.
Now, did they have did they serve any snacks or anything like that?
They did, but I didn't. I went to sleep.
You did? See, when I flew, they served snacks, and I took it, but I didn't eat it because I didn't want to take my mask off on the flight.
Yeah.
But I took the snacks and ate them later.
I was asleep. Like, when she came, I was knocked out.
So you drove from Vegas to Utah. Did they have I know they didn't have an expo. How did they do they pickup?
Okay, the big pickup was at this park, and just so happened my hotel was like right around the corner from where they were doing big pickup. Now me, I'm last minute, so I flew out there and hadn't even signed up for the race.
Oh my God. You know, you said that before that you sign up last minute, but how do you go to an out of state race and not sign up? Who does that?
Me.
Crazy people.
All right, because when I finally said, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I went online registration was closed. And it was like you can sign up the day on packet pickup. So I was like, all right, bet. It ain't sold out. Because if it was sold out, it would have said sold out. Mm-hmm. So when I got there and go to sign up, and she said the race sold out. So I'm like, what? She like, yeah, it sold out. She said, we might have a couple spots. If people don't show later on, you could check back. And wow. I'm like, dang. So I turned, and then I turned back around. I told her, I said, lady, I had come way too far to get out here to not run this race. And she was like, and I told her where I was from, and she was like, we're going to get you in the race. Don't worry about it. She was like, about 8:30, we're going to start calling people that hadn't picked up their packets. So she was like, hit me back at like 9 o'clock, and I'll get you in this race. So I was like, all right, cool. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I go back to my hotel, I give me something to eat, and I guess it's about 8 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a shakeout run back down there, see what's what. So I did my shakeout run. Like I say, the place where they were doing packet pickup was in a park, and it was maybe like a half mile away. So I ran there, and when I went, the lady was like, we got a waiting list of whatever. And I was like, nah, I already signed the waiting list. So then the lady that saw me earlier, she said, she called my name and she was like, okay, we got you. I'm working on you next. So at that point, I knew I was in the race. And there was a couple other people that was trying to sign up last minute too.
Mm-hmm. But they were probably locals. They didn't fly from Arkansas to Utah.
Yeah, I mean, it was people from Utah, yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay, so you picked up your bib. Now, I looked up the total number of finishers. There were 633. So how was the start? Were there corrals? Did X amount of people start at a time? How did that work?
At the start, they was like, you know, it's a chip time race, so everybody don't have to go at once. They was like, unless you're trying to get one of the top 5 finishers, which paid money, they was like, yeah, all the rest of the stuff is gonna go off chip time. So it don't matter if you start now or if you wait 30 minutes and go start. You know, so some people got up there and started right behind the faster athletes. Other people, they kind of spread it out.
Now, how was the course? Were there water stations? How did that work?
Now that's the part I didn't like. The course, man, the course is a fast course because it's a point to point and it's a downhill race. The problem is it's at altitude, and if you ain't trained at altitude, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening. Mm-hmm. So it started at like, I don't know, 7,400 feet, and then it finished around 6,000. Wow. So it's a race. If you do it, you gotta be ready for that altitude, and it really ain't no substitute. I see people post all the time about running in the humidity is like a poor man's altitude training. That's a lie. That's a lie. Either you train at altitude and your body adjusts to it, or you don't. Mm-hmm. So the race started out that high. So my plan was to just take it easy the first 2 miles, and then once the downhill started, just try to run as many people down as I can. And so when I'm coming up on the first water stop, this one you really kind of notice difference in the race. It's like the people are at the water tables, but they not out. You know how they normally got the cup on their hand, handing it to you, whatnot. Mm-hmm. They not doing that. It's like they got all the cups on the table, and you got to grab a cup yourself and try to get one and go. And if you run at that sub 6 minute pace, grabbing a cup off a table is not easy.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, they're not gonna hand us the cup. So
spoil fast people.
So my thing was I was trying to grab the last cup off the table and just kind of pluck it off and keep going. But I didn't. That's the only thing. It took me a while to get back in gear. From hitting them water stop.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting when it came to water. I think I thought that there wouldn't be water stations at races. I don't know. I thought maybe we would carry our own stuff. Like, I didn't expect there to be water stations at races right now.
Yeah, this was a half marathon, so they had like 6 water tables set up.
Yeah.
So it was like 6 water stations.
So how was it at the finish? Did they have like a festival? What was going on?
Okay, it finished at a park, and it was kind of like your normal post race, like except for like when you finish, they had the different little stations that had the water in the coolers or whatever. You grab your stuff out, but they didn't have people handing it out. So you get your own stuff out, and then people in Utah, man, they not tripping. Like they ain't on their mask stuff. They not really.
I was just gonna ask you that. So the staff didn't have masks on?
The staff, the people that worked the race, they did have masks on. I had a mask in my drop bag. So when I finished, I went and got my check bag, and then I had my mask on. But most people, they didn't have their mask on. So
you finished first in your division.
Yeah, man. I actually wanted to go out there and win some money, man. Like
I know,
top 5 spots.
I saw there was a $3,000 purse altogether.
Yeah. So I thought I could go out and win money because, like, based off the times they had last year, I should have been able to finish top, 3rd or 4th. I was thinking it was some fast times out there, but I knew where I was at in training, so I figured I could go out there and get 3rd. And if don't nobody show up, I might be able to win it or get 2nd. So when I get out there, like right after I signed up, there was a guy signing up behind me, and he asked me, he was like, "Hey, what kind of time you trying to run tomorrow?" And I'm just talking. I'm like, "Oh, I just want to break an hour and 20 minutes." He was like, okay. I'm trying to run under 1:15. And I was like, okay. And so
he was sizing you up.
Yeah, he was sizing me up. So I was like, okay, bet. And then at the start line though, I'm seeing people out there that got the elite shirts on, the Rabbit Elite team, Utah running elites. I'm seeing like college teams. I'm seeing like high school cross country guys. And I'm like, dang, it's gonna be some fast people out here today. So I'm talking to one guy that got the Alpha Flies on, and I'm knowing he got them one or two ways. Either he just recently got them, or he got them at the Olympic trial. So I asked him, I said, "Man, how long you had your Alpha Fly?" And he's like, "Oh, I got them at the Olympic trial." And I was like, "Okay, you ran the Olympic trials?" He was like, "Yeah." So I'm knowing this guy fast. If he qualified to run the Olympic trials, he's finna fly. Mm. And the thing about it, he didn't even win. He said he finished 52nd at the Olympic trial, and he finished, I think, 2nd or 3rd at this race. So it was some fast people there.
Yeah. So what's your overall take on running during COVID? Like, do you recommend it? Do you think people should wait it out a little bit longer? What are you thinking?
It just depends on where you at. Like, I looked up Utah, and I looked up they coronavirus rate, and it was similar to what it was here in Little Rock. So I go to work. I work on the front line, so I'm at work every day. And one of my friends was like, because I was going back and forth on it, and she was like, "Man, you go to work, you work on the front line. I mean, you probably more likely to catch it at work than you are going out and doing this race." So I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right." So I mean, I did it because I hadn't traveled nowhere really this year. I got to go to Miami early in the year, but I was ready to go somewhere. And plus, I did the little pyramid, so I felt like I was in some good shape, and I just wanted to see what I could do. So yeah, at the end of the day, I just went for it.
Speaking of the pyramid, look, I'm seeing all of y'all listening and watching this at home. Y'all are doing Philip's Pyramid Challenge, the King's Pyramid, and y'all are not giving him his credit. He created the Pyramid Challenge, so I need everyone at home to hashtag King's Pyramid on your pyramid challenges. This is the creator. Give the man his credit. And I send him a message every time I see someone doing his challenge and I don't see his name on it. Give the man his credit, people.
Yes, Kim is the challenge police officer. Every time she sees somebody do it, she send me a message and say, "Hey, look at this person, they're doing your challenge."
And people they're using your drawing too. And I'm like, give the man his credit.
I think it's cool though, cause a lot of them people I don't even know, so I don't even know how they found out about it. So.
Oh, I see a bunch of my friends doing it. I'm like, wow, this is really making rounds. Give the man his credit, people.
People bored.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall the race was like, it was pretty much normal except for the water stations, and then kind of the start was kind of staggered. So other than that, it was same old same. You get finished, you be like, why am I doing this? And then about an hour later, you like, okay, I could have went faster.
Always.
Yep.
All right, so I want to thank you for giving us this race recap so people can kind of see what to expect if they want to race during COVID. And hopefully the next time you do one, let us know.
All right, I'll hit you up. I'll let you know since you're chasing states.
Yeah, because we don't know what races are happening or not. I'm not signing up for anything. I'm like you. I'm not going to wait until I get there to sign up, but it's going to be like 1 or 2 weeks out before I sign up for anything.
Yeah, look at some of the places like in the Midwest, you know, Utah, Nevada, Idaho. Places got low numbers. Those gonna be the places that's probably gonna have races.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Thank you again, Philip, for being on the Runway podcast. Maybe we'll see you next month again.
Maybe.
Okay. Later.
All right.
I want to thank Philip King for being on the show once again. I hope you guys got a good perspective on what it's like to race during COVID in 2020. I know he gave me like a little light bulb went off in my head, and I said, is it possible to do a smaller race here or there this year safely during COVID? So I think, I may look into it. I know I said racing was canceled, but he just kind of made me want to rethink that sentiment, but we'll see. I'm not jumping into anything right now, but you never know. There are like 5 months left in a year, so we have a little bit of time to think about it and maybe get one in under our belts. So that's it for this episode of the Runway podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next one. Later.